Welcome back, everybody, to Santa Fe Fashion Week, Fashion Behind the Curtain podcast. I'm Stephen Cuomo, executive producer of Santa Fe Fashion Week. I'm really excited to have Tito as a guest on our podcast. Tito, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi. Thank you for inviting Stephen. Go way back, and obviously, you know me as the executive producer of FashionNXT Week, and we also run various programs in the fashion and technology space, including our Emerging Designers Accelerator, Up Next. So I'm the CEO of FashionNXT organization.
Well, it's cool. One producer is speaking to another producer. So I know you have different initiatives working with, is it emerging designers? Can you tell us a bit about that?
We have a great program for the last 12 years called Up Next. It's an emerging designers accelerator. It's very unique, which has been designed to help emerging designers in the first early stage of their career, to help them with mentorship, with runway show competition, as well as other media for the prize package, as well as other prize package for the winner.
That's cool. So would you say that these designers straight out of fashion school, are these designers that you prefer that went to a fashion program? Can you tell us a little bit about the people that participate in your program?
Their qualification-wise, their primary qualification need to be that they know how to create a collection. It has to be their own cut and sew. So they can be going to fashion school. Obviously, by the senior year, they know how to create collection, but also it can be self-taught. As you know, there are a lot of the great designers, they did not really go to school, and more so nowadays. So they come to us, and this program is ideal for those people because they get to know the fashion network and a lot of the fashion learnings they might have missed out. Not even going to fashion school, or sometimes even going to fashion school, they don't know how a lot of the things in the real world. So our mentorships and in the accelerator is designed for most latest issues and problems and must know topics for the emerging designers.
So what's the process for a designer to enroll in your program?
For Up Next, you just have to go to the school. Go to the website, fashionx.com/upnext. And sign up. And there are some qualifications, like you have to be in the first 3 years of your business. Your revenue has to be quite low, so that we can kind of focus on the people who really needs the help. And then you get into the audition after you fill up the form. That happens first weekend of August, where the very powerful judging panel selects them whether they are ready for the prime time for getting the classes and mentorships, as well as be on the runway in FashionNXT Week, which is the runway show series for 3 days. One of the days is for the Up Next designers to show their collection on a runway competition.
So where are you based out of?
We're based in Portland, Oregon.
So do the designers, is this do they have to do this mentorship in person, or is this something they do online?
Both. Before the pandemic, it was obviously all physical. And for the pandemic and post-pandemic, we were doing the virtual. But moving forward, we are bringing back both options so that designers and mentors can be logging in from anywhere in the world. As you can imagine, some of the designers who have been signing up for this program are from all over the US and internationally as well. So are the judges, or mentors, I would say. Sometimes they're traveling and whatnot. So we just want to make sure both sides get the best of the program.
So can you tell us a little bit about what kind of mentors you have involved in the program?
Yeah. So the names are published. Some of the key mentors, they include Nike's design directors to top Project Runway winning fashion designers like Mondo Guerra and Seth Aaron, or We have media personalities and anchors from these locally in the CBS affiliate, or sometimes even nationally. Startup owners in fashion and technology space from New York City, so the kind of mentors that covers some of the key burning topics that emerging designers don't have. Some of the mentors are also they're specialized in costing and pricing, and some are about supply chain, some are about how to help them decide on what things to decide to choose this certain kind of fashion marketing, whether it's a fashion show or digital marketing.
That's cool. So can you tell us a journey, how you started this whole program, your journey into fashion?
How I got into fashion is through art and culture. Is very unique compared to a lot of other fashion show and fashion programs. Path. I was working in a big technology company when I got involved in the community for the art and culture, supporting art and culture events and fundraising, as well as creating experience. So where we learned, I learned from some of the best players in the field how to create experience about art, and how to bring in patrons to create emotional connection with the art so that they become art patron. So at that time, I saw the fashion designers, independent designers, are where while they can be very talented in creating fashion lines, but they struggle in the finding the right patron base, because most people are friends with their economic peers. So they also don't have the bandwidth or knowledge to create a compelling experience, shows or whatnot, to connect with the patrons so that they become their clients. So I bring in that sensibility uh, to seeing that gap for the fashion designers that they don't have, like artists have, for art museum and other kind of organizations. So I brought in that skill, as well as my discipline and rigor from the corporate world, to make sure that like things are getting done properly, on time, and at quality. So it's a journey that took me here.
Yeah, it's very interesting. There's so many components to come from, like an ideas person, fashion designer, to delivering on time, and also building those relationships. So with what's going on with the tariffs and stuff like that, how are you handling that right now as far as manufacturing and sourcing? Because I know you are involved in sourcing.
Correct. As a matter of fact, it is a very important situation for independent designers, because while there can be some well-intentioned approach towards creating more American homegrown manufacturing and homegrown brands, but the biggest problem is that the across the supply chain, America has offshored everything. For example, it's not just for big brands creating high volume manufacturing in the in the other countries in Asia and facing the tariff, but for its emerging designers or independent designers, the materials they use, even though they make it here, but materials they use coming from those countries, because America, beyond producing cottons, they don't really produce much of the textile at all. They are all coming from China. They are coming from Taiwan, Japan, Korea, uh, cotton fabrics, Bangladesh, and some others, very specialized fabrics in Europe, different places and stuff. So as you can see, that immediately independent designers are facing high tariff for import. So in that way, the well intention of creating American brands gets this headwind when they have to purchase higher end, higher priced fabric due to the tariff. So that's need to be better thought out if we really want to support the American brands, especially smaller brands who make things.
Yeah, I was reading an article the other day that let's say a designer went to market several months ago, and then they received some orders, so they locked in that price, and now they have stuff coming in from overseas, and all of a sudden you have this huge tariff, and the designer is obviously going to have to eat it, right? Because they already guaranteed that price for the buyer of their product, right?
Absolutely, and that is a tremendous challenge, and that people are facing that from the big brands' point of view. All the orders for mass volume orders, that is facing uncertainty because of that, the tariff situation. On the other hand, smaller brands here are facing that kind of things, and for smaller brands, the margin is thinner from the top line. So it is a challenge when they have to buy the fabric after taking the order. So that just goes with the struggle, and where it is not only that, as you can see, that the uncertainty of the tariff situation causing it more of a problem of how much they can charge, even for the future order. Yep.
So do you see yourself? Do you besides mentoring, do you also do consulting for established brands?
Absolutely. And so obviously we are mentoring for the emerging designers, but also we have the annual fashion show for established fashion designers every October at the FashionNXT week, where fashion designers, as well as the technology brands like AI and fashion tech brands who wants to reach the fashion forward audience, and high disposable income technology forward audience, they show with us in October. But throughout the year, we have an agency service that we offer, whether it is for further stage designers who require high mass volume production at sustainable factories and high quality and well-maintained factories. We provide that service, as well as from making samples all the way to the global supply chain. On the other hand, we are here to provide services for experiential services. If somebody needs a marketing program or events for their brands or their marketing campaigns, so we have done it all across the spectrum in the consumer fashion space and fashion tech space.
So with technology evolving and with social media and whatnot, how do it seems like fashion shows are a big component of what you do. What do you see as a value add for fashion designers when they participate, not only in your fashion show, but at others?
Well, your question is in the era of digital media, social media, what are the benefits of fashion designers who participate in a live show? As a matter of fact, you probably read some of the same analysis that I saw with the increase of social media. As a matter of fact, fashion shows are even more fashion show industry or fashion. There are more fashion shows now than ever before. I think that that's because fashion is such a dynamic art form for the artists, which are fashion designers. The digital barrier doesn't really allow the artists to interact with the audience, get the excitement, and that likes and stuff like that. That's fine, but that cannot replace the in-person connection a designer can have with the follower base, who really took the time, not just to scroll up and down when they're bored. It is who took the time to come to their event, come to their show, to engage with them. That creates a filtering for them, that who is here. That's number one. Number two, that really is that you create a brand distinction. Anybody can throw a post at the social media. Whereas fashion show is such a higher effort, and also what show you are showing, who else is showing in that show. This prestige of being discerning in that decision making to where you are showing, All those things create a brand distinction that helps the end consumers, that at what quality of a designer you are, that you really, consumers cannot see that when you are just posting things in the social media, or even some collabs and things like that. Yeah, there are some efforts there, but it cannot replace the unique importance that really digital cannot take. And you'll see that more and more, in my view, even as AI is coming on board. Yes, it will create some unique value proposition, but live fashion show of desire for that human to human connection, for designers to get that reference of human connection for their own creativity also, not just after the show, after creating that collection and showing, but also for their next collection, for the next design, that human reference point. That is extremely difficult to replace without a live fashion show.
Interesting. I was also reading another article how TikTok is actually overtaken or is now outselling Amazon, which is a little hard for me to wrap my arms around. But do you have fashion designers that are utilizing TikTok shops?
Well, independent designers, as a matter of fact, is different in that way compared to the just any, like a lot of other fashion brands and stuff like that, or just like very niche things that people are selling in the TikTok and stuff like that. So I don't really, while I see the independent designers, because the ones that show with us are mostly more like established, very exquisite pieces or very well done pieces. They want people to see them and connect them and meet with them and know what the quality and human connection they're selling, they're buying into, versus social media. So where, yes, it is very good at creating awareness. It is very good at like those like niche item sales and stuff like that. But I don't really interact with a lot of them. And at the same time, I don't see the things that are sold by human connection really like they go becoming much successful in the TikTok space. I'm sure there are exceptions, but it is very hard.
Right. I think the compelling thing about TikTok is, and I think their argument is, you never have to leave the app, right? Because maybe you have the hero's journey, the designer telling their story and connecting, building their own community, if you will. And then they see the item and then they could purchase it right on that platform where, let's say you have maybe a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad, and then they see it and then they have to kind of go to maybe the designer's Shopify account or their website. And so, they have to go from one spot to another. And let's face it, I think TikTok, there's a lot of, doom scrolling, people going through there. But again, it's a good way to connect. I find TikTok is really, really short form. I mean, super, super short form. I mean, it's really hard to hold people's attention, because I do some Facebook ads. I've tried TikTok ads. I think Facebook, you get a little bit more attention. LinkedIn, I don't know if you ever looked into LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is very, very expensive to advertise on. And then I like this podcast platform where you could tell more of the story of the designer, the producer, the stylist, the people involved in fashion.
100%. And I think that there's another thing I would tell you, sitting in the digital media and analyzing digital media, the analytics people get from these apps are often just way far from reality or far from the truth. It's just like people love some numbers, and that's one of the other reasons people just like go after that. It is extremely difficult to really trust the analytics numbers people are getting from those. So they're kind of chasing that quantification. But it really is so complex for people who are trying to get into that sales thing, that all the other engagement things, like all the, just like, yeah, because it's easy to doom scroll and just like here, like there, and all the kind of things. But for people, people's distance from that sales funnel thing, people's distance from seeing a product to buying a product, that has increased so much because of all the proliferation of digital media. So like through that, the analytics really like you'll see more and more that people are getting the dose of the reality and finding that like it just like those analytics that are getting that it's not really helping them that much. They're just like it'll get more and more exposed as we pass as we see that more and more happening, because it's just like on top of that, think about the amount of noise every human being is facing, because everything is on our social media. I mean, on our phone right now. That's like as you probably saw, the amount of emails we have to deal with nowadays. People are just like cannot keep up with those things. And the amount of social media ads. So the people are getting so just immersed into it. They cannot really. It is getting more and more difficult for them to make any decision out of that, because of there is the connection is getting to people are getting more difficult. So I'm seeing that the more immersive kind of experience, where absolutely it is not going to come back in the exactly old school way, but it could be but physical experience is going to be more and more, even though we have seen a dip in the last few years.
I think some of the pros and cons. The thing with being able to do Facebook ads and stuff like that. I mean, you can kind of target your audience, if you will. The cost per acquisition, because you are paying per clicks, and then how many of them are converting. So you have those challenges, and then the margins on clothing. It's not like you're selling a big ticket item. So if they do buy the item, but it's costing you X amount of dollars to convert those people, you have that expense. But then I think the challenge with runway shows, and I'm kind of talking as a producer of a fashion show, how many eyeballs, are at the fashion show, or how many butts are in the seat. So let's say, maybe for a show like mine, maybe it's 100 to 250 people. Phoenix Fashion Week, I think they get 500, maybe up to 1,000 people. So you have that many people experience the fashion, if you will, firsthand. And then I think you do have the power of social media if done right, because the designers can use that story, their journey to doing the fashion show, so they could get a lot more than just being at the show, if you will. And of course, you have a lot of people in the audience that are maybe doing FaceTime and stuff like that. So they're streaming those shows out to people. I think that's what you're seeing. There's some people upset with New York Fashion Week because the front row used to be exclusive for celebrities and whatnot. And now you're getting, it's more about the people sitting in the front row who has the most social media context, because they're sitting in the front row and they're streaming it. So again, they're reaching more eyeballs. So again, it's the fashion show is more than just the amount of people sitting in that audience. It's also how many people are watching that stream.
Well, we are chasing the quantity so much that unless we are really serious about quality, we are losing the point here. As I mentioned about intention is oftentimes lacking. A lot of this is social media influencers. I know they go to these fashion shows for flexing to their own followers. They have very little interest about the fashion line. A lot of times they don't even know what the hell they're looking at. So getting exposed to that influencer's followers is creating very little value. Versus when you are talking about a discerning media entity, an editor sitting there and writing about it, and about a designer, okay? Because that's that person's job, okay? And the people who are reading that magazine was also reading that for knowing about these designers that they are participating in the show. So I present to you the amount of noise through these influencers has to be qualified in so much more higher level of filter by the designers and decision makers. Because the numbers is telling absolutely wrong numbers.
That's an interesting take. I've also seen where influencers and even celebrities have kind of fallen on their face, if you will. They feel like they have so much social influence that they could just start their own fashion brand. And because again, it's the influencers are getting so much money to hawk different designers. And so they're like, well, I could just launch my own fashion brand. And again, the conversion ratio of the influencer talking about a dress or a suit or whatever, how many of those people are actually buying? And then celebrities also thinking that it's just, oh, I'm so famous, I can start my own fashion brand. So there really isn't no real correlation between your fame or your influence on social media that you actually have a successful brand. Because like you said, there's so much more that goes into it than celebrityness. I mean, it's how to cost out your manufacturing and the marketing and the sourcing. I mean, there's a lot of pieces that go into it other than just having some influence.
Most of the time, designers, when they get, celebrities who are getting into that fashion business, they are primarily lending their face, kind of a licensing agreement. Obviously, some of them are more involved than the other, because global supply chain, me being a part of participating in it, I know how streamlined that is. Unlike back in the days, here, there are companies who can literally just you just place the order with them, and all you have to do just sign some papers and just giving them the money, and things are getting shipped to your location without you even have to deal with much, because global supply chain is that mature, that everything. So anybody can come up with a fashion line if you have the money and some sort of business deal you can come up with, and all this kind of things. So the celebrities, as you saw, there are here and there some success, but they are probably more hands-on, and their marketing is that much on point. But a lot of times they just disappear after a while. It's just just like the fast fashion. It's just disposable, just like that. So so it is such a different kind of world than the fashion designers and who are working hard with their outfits and making these designs and season after season. It's a whole new level of art and depth and human connection that we are here to create, and which is so needed, because the other side is just gone so far out.
That makes sense. So you have an upcoming show for you and your designers. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, every October. This year it will be October 9th, 10th, 11th. FashionNXT week. It's a 3-day long fashion event, but also it is a technology showcase of AI and fashion tech and all of that. So it's a big runway show. Forbes magazine last year wrote an article about putting us as #1 US city fashion week, aside from the New York. So it's a high-end experience of audience also. People come there. They are looking for a great experience, connecting with other peers of successful people, as well as people who want to network. So it's a great pre-show experience of connecting with the people who are there to support the art, and who are there to connect with each other and all that. Then the runway show. It's a big runway show production. So that is coming in October 9th, 10th, 11th in Portland, Oregon.
Well, it sounds like you had a lot of value for your fashion designers, and I really appreciate your time. I'd love to have you on as a guest again another time to dig deeper into AI and how that's going to affect fashion. So, but I want to thank you again for being a guest on Santa Fe Fashion Week, Fashion Behind the Curtain podcast.
And I thank you, Stephen Cuomo. We go way back, and we did not connect as much as deeply as now, but I appreciate your dedication. From being a photographer and a model to a fashion show producer, the value that you are adding in a great city of Santa Fe.
I appreciate you. And again, if you work in the fashion industry and like to be a guest on Santa Fe Fashion Week, Fashion Behind the Curtain podcast, please reach out. I'd love to have you on as a guest. Thanks again. You have a wonderful afternoon, Tito.
Thank you.